So I was wondering if you had any thoughts on deflationary tokens like OMI, which is associated with Disney, Marvel, Star Wars, and all that.
I mean, if you're talking about OM, like OHM, the ones that went to zero multiple times across multiple
No,
forks, that
no,
OM?
not that one. OMI, Oscar Mike India. It's the one that's associated with the
Oh,
VVF.
okay. So basically, like, deflationary tokenomics is useless in an environment where when you're not on ramping new users. So all of these, I'll teach you shit that you didn't know about crypto until I just told about you. Here you go. People think that inflation is bad for crypto. Okay, let's talk about that. When was the best time to buy Bitcoin? When its inflation was the highest, and Satoshi owned all the coins, and there was no liquidity, and you couldn't buy it anywhere. That's when it was the best time to buy. And then the inflation kept dropping in half every 4 years, and the pumps kept dying. So it did a 70x, and then it did a 40x, and now it does a 3x. So hold on a second. I thought inflation was bad. Well, then why is it that as the inflation gets lower, the price gets more limp dick? Because Richard just taught you something that you didn't know until I told it to you. Because what matters, you see, isn't the rate of inflation. It's the ratio of the rate at which you're on-ramping to new users to inflation. And not all inflation has the same parameters. So, for instance, in Hex, the inflation is extremely delayed because the average stake length is like 7 years. And you don't get paid that inflation until the 7 years is up. And so since the inflation is delayed and inflation begets inflation, it's reflexive, it means that like the actual inflation rate is quite low. It might even be negative. Like I've never had someone like attack the numbers, but it could be the case that the actual market, like available market supply, it could even be negative. Like if a bunch of people like just locked some up, which we've seen, like stake lengths keep getting longer. So if you compare that, like Hex's maximum inflation is 3.69%. Bitcoin ran exponentially higher inflation than that all the way up to 20K. So when Bitcoin hit 20K, the inflation rate was 3.89. So anyway, back to the guy's original question. So interesting side note is that the inflation rate, everyone looks at inflation and that's looking at supply side, but they're not looking at demand side. And the demand side is how quickly you're on-ramping new users. And so it's very easy for Hex to on-ramp new users because our inflation just goes to the users themselves. It's more like a stock split. It's like they're just paying themselves. But inflation in Bitcoin and Ethereum market dumps the price constantly to enrich mining hardware companies and fucking electric companies. It's a huge negative externality. And so the inflation in Hex is lower than Bitcoin was all the way from a penny to 20K. And it's only given to the very people that are participating. So the guys that defend the price are the guys that get the inflation. So not all inflation is the same. So in regards to your OMI thing, if you've got deflation, okay, but we've seen lots of shit with deflation, like proof of weekends or whatever the fuck, and then it just goes to zero because people get tired of the game. And so, like, I think that a lot of people will get wrecked on all of these, like, burning or locking or whatever the fuck coins. I mean, look, a lot of coins have tried to copy X. They have locking. They go to zero. They literally go to zero. Well, it's locking because they're not on-ramping new users. You need everything. Like tokenomics isn't enough. It's like, look, Bitcoin Cash is a fork of Bitcoin. It has higher throughput, and the price chart's absolutely horrible. It's down like 99% versus Bitcoin. But it was basically the same software to start with. Why? Because there's other shit that makes a coin good that isn't the fucking software. It's the community. It's the logo. It's the branding. It's the memes. It's the on-ramps. It's a lot of stuff. I mean, look, in general, I never promote any coin that I didn't invent, except I'll say nice things about Bitcoin if you need to buy 100 billion of it right now for some fucking weird reason. If you need something insanely liquid and you don't know how to use fucking limit order, fine, Bitcoin. But otherwise, I would say Ethereum. If you need anonymity, I would also say Ethereum. If you try and use Monero, you can't get the fuck out of it. How do you get to a stablecoin out of Monero? You suck middleman dick. It's terrible. So, Ethereum is basically the answer for almost everything. But if you want to outperform Ethereum, you've got Hex or Pulse Chain when it comes out, or Pulse X. It's very hard for me to recommend other. Do you know how many people got wrecked recommending other shit? How many people recommended Luna and got wrecked recommended BlockFi. All these fucking influencers recommended all this shit, and they all got wrecked together. It's terrible, and I created a solution, and they don't respect. It's crazy.
Yeah, that's why I really like OMI, because the VV app onboards new thousands pretty much every month, and they haven't even done marketing yet. So there's very few people running the OMI token. Yeah,
when you discover how they rug you, you'll remember this conversation, dude. You're buying shitcoin number 98241. You think you've got it figured out. It's probably going to go zero or rug you like most of the other ones, and then you'll be like, oh, damn, I thought I had it figured out.
I mean, I think the lawyers that work at Disney that all work for about $1,000 an hour.
How did Atari Coin work out? Tell me how Atari Coin worked out. Remember Atari Coin? Do you think that fucking the co-founder of Apple is a scumbag? Do you think Steve Jobs, partner Wozniak, do you think he's a scumbag? How did Atari Coin work out? I went to zero. Yeah, so you can take all those arguments and shove them up your ass, because I just gave you a perfect example of that exact fucking argument failing spectacularly. Wozniak and Atari Coin and all that shit went to fucking zero.
I mean, I didn't come here for a fight. I just came here just to get...
No, but I'm just telling you that appeal to popularity shit doesn't work in crypto, brother. A lot of guys with names have shit to go right to zero. A lot of big companies have shit that goes right to zero. How's IBM's blockchain shit going? IBM sucks, no? You see what I'm saying? I want people to learn that appeal to popularity does not work in this industry. And that's how everyone got fucking wrecked. I saw Peter McCormick quoting, do you think that fucking BlockFi would go out of business when it's valued at $6.5 billion? Yes, actually, I do. And yes, look, they are. So I want people to learn from the mistake that you're making. You cannot fall for appeal to popularity here. You'll lose all your money.
Yeah, there's really...
I mean, OMI's not really popular. No, not too many people have heard of it.
Nah, but you were name dropping Disney, bro. And Disney sucks as a company as well, just for the record. When I go to my Disney app and I see Black Stories as a section, and then I see Predator in there, can you explain to me how Predator is a black story? What it really means, I guess, is there's a black actor in it, which seems like, is that what we're doing now? We're just categorizing the movies by the color of the people in them? Because that seems fucked up to me. Fuck Disney. And fuck that coin you mentioned. You're going to get rugged, watch.